Hi, Amita Goel. So as you know, my name is Sivan Prendergast. I have over 20 years of experience in project management. I'm very passionate about project management, and I'm very keen on telling the world how important project management is, what it is as a profession. And I've worked on many projects, hundreds of projects in many industries. And I'm just very keen for you to introduce yourself as well.
All right. Hi, Sivan. First of all, thank you very much for this wonderful invite. And I'm super excited that I will be heard in Ireland, Dublin, all the way from India. So, hi, friends in Ireland. My name is Amita Goel, and I'm a mindful eating coach who heal people through habits. So my work includes women over 40, especially homemakers. I help them heal their bodies and identity after years of neglect. So because I myself had been a homemaker for last 30 years and my life took a U-turn once I entered this pageantry, and it unfolded beautifully for me. And I really want every woman to be able to express herself beautifully the way I have been. So I'm really, really, I'm grateful to all the opportunities that came my way.
Perfect. So, Amita, I suppose, a lot of people ask me what a project is. And, I always say, the definition by the PMI Institute, which is, a project is a temporary endeavor undertaken to achieve a particular product, service, or result. Um, However, when people ask me personally what is a project, the example I always give is God had, the creation days of the world. That was a program of work, and every day was a project to achieve something. And I think that what inspires me most about project management is really that God did it, and so do we have to do it. I feel like we live in an ever evolving world, and I feel that project management is extremely important. I've done project management and program management and portfolio management and systems management, and you name it, I've done it. It's not difficult for me. I actually really, really enjoy the work. Um, so I want you to tell me about a project that you feel passionate about, and tell me what was so special about that particular project. And was there anything in particular that made you want to do that particular project?
Yes. So I'm an evangelist of nature cure, and I believe in living a medicine free life. Because in the world we live in, we believe that as we age, medicines are natural part of our being. So instead of taking a medicine, we believe in taking lots and lots of medicine, and we buy strips of medicines which lie beside our bedside. So that was the time, uh, that was the painful period of time I went through for many, many years. And once I overcame, I met my master, I overcame my problems and started living a medicine free life. Now I feel that this knowledge exists, this divinity exists, and it should reach all. So my mission, if I look at large, is to make this world a better place. Because what is it that we are going to leave behind? What is the legacy we want to leave behind? So
Hmm.
legacy is that we want to leave healthy generation, a generation that is not dependent on medicines, that can live a fearless life and live their life to their fullest potential. So that's the legacy I want to live, and that's the smallest message of health, how they can do it. I want to live, I want to leave behind.
That's
Yes.
very inspiring, because actually I had an occasion in my life where I needed to, I had a medical problem, and the doctors kind of recommended this medicine and that medicine, that medicine, and I was like, okay, it sounds like patching. And I eventually went for a very natural solution, which seems to be helping more than any of them. And I ended up not taking those, medications. I've tried them. Didn't do anything, to be honest with you. So I just went for my own kind of, and I feel that that's very, important for us to be able to balance. Obviously, people do need to seek for medical advice if they're going through, a medical, issue. But I think the nutrition, the way that we treat the issue, I've grown in my life to believe that that's extremely important. I grew up with a father and a mother that have a sweet tooth, so everything was like solved with sweets. And I found that actually no, we have to balance life. We have to balance our eating. We have to
Yes.
eat for the right thing, I suppose. And I suppose, what was the project definition? Did you open up your own business to start, that sort of advisory?
Okay, so I started with a mindful eating coach, and then I crossed paths because of the principles I am working on. So what happened? I was among 800 people. There was this gathering. There was this event I am at, and one of the mentors, the host, he said, "Who has got this unique way of project in their mind?" And I was like, mine is unique, mine is unique. And and then I raised hand and I was like, oh, who is going to notice my hand in those 800 people? But yeah, I got that chance. And then I said, burp and stop principle. Once you say burp and stop, and you stop after you burp, you stop eating after you burp, and you stop drinking after you burp. And that is one small habit. If you include in your life, it can save you a lot of medicines. And somewhere in that 800 people, one soul heard my words, and they approached me and they said, we totally aligned with what you said, and now I am working with Prana Materna. So this is an app, Prana AI app, that helps mothers in their journey, in their 9-month journey, which includes nutrition, that includes emotions, that includes their habits. And habits is the area where I'm helping them with. That's the core area, and I'm part of the team and we are working together. That's so beautiful. And also, one more thing that happened was, there are doctors who
Hmm.
approached me. One of the doctors, she approached me, she's a gynecologist, and she said, there are so many patients who are coming to me, for healing, but when we tell us that change your lifestyle, they are not ready. So can you help us? So we can give them diets, we can give them medicines, but will you help them, achieve those habits, develop those habits? And now I'm working with doctors. So that is the beautiful journey I'm, into, and that's
Wow,
something
yeah,
beautiful.
that's amazing. So you've basically created an advisory service, a new advisory service
Yes.
to help
Yes.
people heal. Okay. What was your kind of, what was your line of thought about developing that service? How did you go about creating it? What was is it, obviously it's case by case basis and it's case by case sensitivity, but, how did you go about deciding, your kind of process for that service?
So you are asking me, why did I start? How did I get into this service? Is that what you
Yeah, I
mean?
suppose, like, when you're creating a new service, when you're going through, a new advisory service, how did you go about deciding what's going to be your step, like your steps into the recovery of the patient? So
All right.
how do you approach somebody, a new case that you basically
All
see?
right. For example, I tell you my latest case, I'll tell you. So the client approached me that, Amita, we heard about you, and we really want to work out. So I said, what do you want to work on? So she said, I'm absolutely happy and healthy. So my program says 20 habits in 28 days. So, and restore your health, 20 habits in 28 days. And she was like, 20 habits? What do you do in these 28 days? I said, what is your problem? So she thought and she said, see, I take 3 BP medicines and I'm happy taking that. There is a possibility that I might have glaucoma later in my life. And, right now I'm fine with that. And then she said that, what, from last 20 years, on and off, I have been going to dietitians, and my weight is, still the same. the same or it's increasing. So can you do something about the over, like, the weight I have? Can you help me reduce the weight? I said, I will make no promises. You just do 20 days, 20 habits in 28 days. We'll see what will happen. And then she started the program with me. And you know what happened? Her two medicines got tapered. So
Oh,
she is right now only on one medicine. And then she went to see her doctor to another city to tell him that, this is how my life has changed. What should I do? And the doctor advised him that, you make the dose 50%, which means her dose has, dramatically decreased. It has tapered
wow.
beautifully. And she was so, so happy. And she was like, I never imagined that this thing can happen, because she has always seen that the doses are going to increase, whether it's diabetes or BP. They have not seen that the doses are coming down. So she was really happy, but I didn't promise her anything, and I didn't put her on any diets. And also there is one beautiful thing happened. So from very, very long time, she dreamt of, she had this desire of waking up early, waking up, rising up early. And right now she has fallen in love with rising before the sunrise. And she is rising before the sunrise every single day. And that's the beautiful part. And do you
Amazing.
know, third beautiful thing that happened? So all these testimonies I have in recorded in my camera, in my recorded sessions. So once I stopped the recording, one beautiful thing she said was, she talked about purpose, and she talked about self doubt. And I was like, wow, this is something, the seed is sown. And this is the whole point of my doing all these, workshops and interactions, so that people get to live a bigger and a better life.
That's amazing. There is a sentence in Hebrew, and it says, "Im tirtzu en zo agada," which means if you want to do something, it's not a legend. You can make it happen. In other words, and I feel that's really encompassed with what you've just stated. That's amazing. So I suppose from your story, there's two sides of things. There's the project that you did, which was to initiate the service and initiate your company. And then there was the move to support really mode, which is where you kind of go to people and make things happen. So that's amazing. But tell me about, what was your biggest challenge when it came to this, project that you've initiated, the services that you do? What was really something that you had to deal with yourself in terms of doing this work?
So like I said, that when I said to people that I'm a mindful eating coach and I work on habits, so 20 habits in 28 days, and people, if they like it, I will move on to 300 habits in 365 days, and it will be life transforming, because people don't know, what habits should we do, and everything is customized. So they were like, this is not sellable. You're not going to make money on this. Who is going to pay you for habits? No one will. And in my mind I was like, okay, people are dealing with bigger problems, and who is talking about the basics? No one is talking about it. But I stick to it. There were people who believed in me, and there were friends who were like, yes, we believe in you. And I could see transformation in them. But yes, getting clients was the biggest challenge. Number one, I didn't know how to sell, how to market. Number one, that was the biggest problem. And second was, again, people look at habits, developing habits, good habits, for burps, for bloating, for sleeplessness, for overthinking. They think these are the smaller issues. But let me tell you, these are the ticking time bombs. Because if you're not getting the right sleep, then your day will not start right. And if you're overthinking, there is lack of clarity in the head. And if you have acidity, sour burps, it has a best friend called constipation. So all these things are basics. It's like, people knowing the words, people knowing the language, but they are not knowing the grammar. So I'm taking care of the basics. Like when people say we want to write A, I tell them, okay, this is the sleeping line, this is the standing line, you draw it. So that is how I build habits. I, break it down in such a easy steps so that they understand what habit is and how it can be inculcated in their lives. For example, if I tell you, Sivan, please don't watch screen before you go to bed, and you will be like, what, how is this possible? I'm such a busy person, there is so much work to do. So I break down each and every habit so that it becomes easy for them, and every habit is customized according to the requirement of the person.
When I was growing up, we were not living, in a particular, we were just, eating whatever, obviously kosher food, I keep kosher, but we were eating whatever we wanted. There was no boundaries, there was no stop to anything. I remember when I was a child, my mother made meringues, and I just went over to the meringues and ate them all. My sister came out, she was like, where's the meringues? I said, they're gone, I'm sorry. But the thing is, we never had a stop, and I found it that during life, you have to put a stop to certain things. You have to think about your mindfulness. You have to think about what you eat. You have to balance things around. So I really like what you're saying. Um, but how did you define success for your project, for your company? When did you say this is successful? I'm doing well.
I think if I say, if I'll earn enough that I'm able to live that life, which I desire, I would say that yes, I succeeded when it comes to financially. But if I talk of mental peace, I'm absolutely at peace, because it is not, if I do this, then I will be at peace. It is like living your life each day, and each day I'm able to touch someone's life in some manner, and
Amazing.
that makes me truly happy. So I believe, if I look at, success is work in progress, but at the same point of time, uh, I have done my bit. I have raised my children, and I'm really proud of the way they are doing well in their lives. And I feel successful. Because I feel successful, that has given me confidence. Now it's time to make my family bigger. Like, instead of me, my children, it's like, now the community, now the society, now the nation, now the world. So my uh, this thing, the area of service has become bigger.
Amazing. Amazing. I really love what you do. I think in the last few years, I've grown to appreciate it a lot more. When I was growing up, it wasn't a thing, to be honest. Um, but what was, I suppose, how did you mentioned that you're not kind of a salesperson. You weren't. So how did you overcome that challenge? And what was the biggest lesson you've learned from, running this whole project to have a business?
So I was very shy. I was
Okay.
very timid. Like, I would die if I had to ask someone for money. You pay me and I'll give you service. But then you have coaches for everything. So my
Mhm.
coaches, they took out that timidness, that shyness out from me, and they made me understand how the world works. And it is a matter of service, and it is the transaction you are doing. You are you are giving value to someone's life, adding value to someone's life, and in that transaction, you are getting rewarded. So that is something, it is everything about the, mindset. It's everything about the shift. So I was in a different mindset, being a homemaker, raising kids at home, and now I have to change everything, how I used to look at
Yeah,
world. So it is, everything is here. It's like, when you are listening to the radio,
have to do a
the
switch.
music is in the air, you just need to tune in. So your lower self, your higher self, your every self is in there, you just
Mhm.
need the connection. So for that, we need coaches. I have my own, set of people whom I go to, whom I connect with, for, for guidance.
Amazing. I love that. I don't know if I ever told you about how I went into project management, but back in 2005, I was working for a company, and my line manager let me know that we're doing an office relocation. So we're moving to a different office. And he said, look, Sivan, I need you to take part in this. Nobody called it a project, so I didn't know what a project was at the time. Um, So I was tasked with moving all of the sales representatives and all of the people who were working in the call center into a new IVR system. I didn't know how to do it. I had to come out of my comfort zone for the, I was very young. It was my first year's job. I was like, okay. And I moved close to 100 people. I didn't know I had it in me, and then I found my kind of technical side was quite high because I was able to figure it out very quickly. I was doing it very fast, so I was happy with that. That was the first time I actually worked on a project. So I suppose for me as well, like opening a business, getting people to, to start, accepting the service or, connecting is really the difficult part as well. So I really
Yes, yes.
love the fact that you were able to overcome that, because that is a big challenge. And what impact do you think you've made from opening this business and from opening yourself into this new kind of project and opening your business? And, what do you think was the impact?
I think I'm a new person who thinks differently. So I have become a whole new person. And what impact, I would say, my children, they are looking at me. That's the biggest impact, that, yes, transformation can happen at any age. So once I'm gone, if they'll think about me, I hope they will get some inspiration from this life. And the impact I'm making is, if we look at outside the home, the lives I have touched somewhere, it is not that one person I have touched. With that habits, because they have transformed, the four people who have seen them have transformed. So you don't know, it's like, you're throwing a stone in water, and the ripples, what you see, and there are ripples that are happening which you just can't see. You don't know how you have impacted. But each day I feel content.
Yes, I can see that on you. And actually, you are a remarkable person. I've actually met you in the pageant in New York, and it was just incredible to meet you because you were glowing. There was something about you, you were, in peace with yourself about what you're doing, what you're hoping to achieve. And it's great, to be able to help people in that regards. I've done charity most of my life, and I find that when people are down, they need somebody to help pick them up, and or to
Yes.
just give advice or just be a listening ear. And I've been that type of person. I feel that you are as well. So it's really, really amazing what you do. um is there anything else that you think, people would be interested in knowing in terms of, the project itself that you've done, or stuff to look forward to? What are you doing now?
Yes. Yes, there is so also one thing I would like to share with the people of Ireland and whosoever is listening to this interview, like our conversation, they might be wondering what habit she is talking about. And there is one habit, one core principle which I work on, and I really want everyone to do it, like a prayer, like a healing affirmation, healing habit, you can say. So one thing I would like to tell to the people of Dublin, Ireland, that whenever you are having food, whenever you sit for your meal, whenever you eat anything, listen to your body. And once you burp, just stop eating. And even if you're drinking anything, and if you get that burp, just stop eating. So that mantra is burp and stop. That's the principle I work on, and I tell you, it works wonder. It has science behind it. It is written in book. So it's not like something, I made it out of something in the air. It's not like that. It's very, very scientific. And people don't talk about simple stuff, so I talk about it, and I trademarked it just to make sure, because right now less people know me, less people talk about this. But if someone, come across this, so I hope, they bring it to subconscious of every person's, mind, so that every person can live a happy and a healthy and a non-bloating life.
And absolutely look after their well-being. People are so
Yes,
busy with different things that, sometimes you have to go for a run, or you just have to go for a long walk, or you just have
yes,
to. For me,
yes.
one thing that I do is meditate every morning before I do anything. But for me, prayer is a meditation. So that's what I do. I pray
Yes.
to God in the morning before I do anything or speak to anyone. I'm, fully in that
Yes.
for a couple of minutes. That's what I do in my morning. And then, I try on the way to work to listen to music and just zoom out for a little bit. And then it's go, go, go all day long. And it's fantastic. And it's just, I personally appreciate it, but I also, I really, really appreciate, everything that you said. It resonates with me. A lot of this resonates with me, and I appreciate it. And are you up to anything interesting now? I believe that you're doing something for girls
Yes.
to motivate them as well.
Yes, of course. So, I it's called in Hindi. It's called Sehat or Sapne. I am founder of Sehat or Sapne, which means health and dreams. Once you're healthy, only then you are able to. You have that stamina and energy to pursue your dreams. So you are able to take attention away from your health, and you are able to put all your attention into your dreams. So health is one area where I work on, and dreams in is another. And I've started with a program called Model with a Voice Runway. It's a retreat where women from all ages can come, learn, and participate, because I believe it is very important for our girls to learn grooming and to grow with grace and elegance. And for women to come out of their shell, it's never too late to learn. Just come out of their shell and find that expression and presence which you have been looking for. So that's my program is all about.
Amazing. I do find that the modeling industry is quite, there's quite a lot going on over there. And yeah, it's nice and lovely to give, young ladies and women from all ages the chance to experience it. Listen, thank you so much for having this chat with me. I really appreciate it. And Amita, just to conclude, do you want to tell us your educational background? What did you study? And you mentioned you have a master's.
Yes, of course. So when I got married, I was a graduate. I did my bachelor's in arts, and when my after that, I have done small courses like fashion designing. I did my fashion designing when my children were small. After my marriage, my husband is that is had been very supportive, and I did my diploma in gemology from Gemological Institute of Great Britain. And then when my children were in ninth and 10th, I did my MBA just to make sure that, to create that conducive environment of study in house. So I did my MBA with them while they were doing their high school. I studied with them. And after that, lately, when I healed myself, that is when I started studying naturopathy.
Amazing. Okay, well, listen, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate this conversation and very excited to speak to you. You made a great impression on me. I really loved hanging out with you when I was in the pageant. And, I wish you very well and success in your business. Thank you very much, Amita.
Thank you so much. Feeling is mutual. I love this conversation. Thank you for having me. It means a lot. Thank you, Dublin. Thank you, Ireland. Thank you for listening.